name is Tina Paniqui and welcome to Doorways, and today I want to talk about age and expectations on particularly women, and that's not because I'm being feminist or anything, because I'm not. It's just that it's the only thing I know, so I can't talk about men. But I'm 58, going to be 59 in March, and last year sort of really was quite an eye-opener for me in terms of age, because in my head I'm still 40. And my mum used to say this to me and I used to ignore it, I'm not going to lie. But whilst I can look in the mirror and see the saggy bits and the wobbly bits and the wrinkles and things, in my head I'm still 40. And I can still unashamedly say that I can sit there and look at younger men and think, gosh, he's attractive. In my younger days I'd have been after him. Well, my son's probably mortified by that, but it's true. It is true. You don't stop as you get older wanting to be desired or to desire. You just don't. And interestingly, last year I was two things happened really. One was that a couple of friends of mine were 60 and they just didn't handle it very well at all. One did, but a couple didn't. And even a guy I worked with a couple of years ago, we bought him a 60th birthday card, and he got really angry about it, because it was like, you know, would you have sent me a card with 59 on it? No, you wouldn't. And I don't want anybody celebrating the fact I'm 60. And then another friend just didn't even celebrate her birthday at all, because she didn't want people to keep talking to her about retirement and things. And I think that's so sad. You know, when I'm 60, I want to be out there, you know, really enjoying it. I had a fabulous 40. I remember I had a fancy dress party for medieval. And when I was 50, I did a load of things that I'd never done before, like travelling on my own, and I flew a helicopter and things. And when I'm 60, I want to continue in that vein. I want to celebrate it. But something else that happened was, last year I wrote a book, and I'd gone on holiday, and the book's called New Dawn Goddess Awakens, and it's basically about my life and the good choices, the poor choices, the choices I could have made better, how, you know, particularly in relationships and things, they weren't good experiences in truth. But where it gets to in the end, and where I'm at now in my life, is that I'm perfectly perfect as I am. And that includes the cellulite, it includes the saggy jowls, it includes the wobbly bits, you know, the wrinkles, the frowns, and all of those, includes all of it. And it's taken me a really long time to get there. But when I was 50, I was lucky enough to be in Tanzania last year with Cindy. And we were talking, and I really can't remember how we got onto desire, but we were talking about desire. And I was saying that, you know, just because I'm getting older, it doesn't mean to say I don't want to be desired or have desire, and all that that entails. And I was talking about an experience I'd had with a dating agency, where they were telling me that men of my age don't want to date women of my age, that they want to date much younger women, and that the men who were likely to want to date me would be in their late 60s, 70s. And whilst I don't have anything wrong with that, my point to them was around, yeah, but I don't want to sit quietly as I get older. I want to follow joy. In fact, I live my life that way in its entirety now. I only ever do anything that brings me joy. I don't want to get quieter or sit more quietly or do less. And I don't mean do less in terms of work with stress and things like that, because I have a really healthy balance now, but in terms of I want to experience life, and I want to follow joy, and I want to do things, and I want to feel desire and be desired. And I made a pact at the time, which truthfully I've forgotten about, which was to empower women of my age to stand in the light, and to not shrink, and to not be any less than the version of themselves that they want to be. And I went on my second, actually, ecstatic dance experience last weekend with my friend who hosts it, Marcelina. And you might think, what's ecstatic dance? Well, it's not erotic dance, or there's nothing wrong with that. This is ecstatic dance, and it's basically around dancing to music for a couple of hours with your eyes shut or with blindfolds on, that your body can move and you feel into how your body will move, and without any judgment. So, you could just stand there if you wanted to. You could be jumping up and down, head banging, moving erotically. However you want to do it is basically how you do it, without any judgment whatsoever on there. And it's incredibly empowering to think that you can just move without judgment. And I couldn't help feeling that has a wider message for life, isn't it? Because so often we don't do things for fear of judgment. So, judgment of, could I still wear a bikini out? Like around the pool and stuff. Now, I have done, but I have started to fall into that category of, I've got to cover up because nobody wants to see my wobbly bits and this, that and the other. And actually, why should I? Why should I feel that way? And that got reinforced to me, which is a completely random subject, but I think it's really pertinent, of my son gets married this year, and I went to a mother of the bride type place, and a lot of the dresses had got like sleeves down to here, or just below the knee, or basically cover you up so that you don't see your wobbly bits and things. And I was thinking, I don't want to do that. I don't want to look like I was going to say old, but I suppose I am old, but you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. I want to dress elegantly. I want to dress, I suppose, not sexily in a, low cut top and a short skirt and stuff, but like elegant, sexy. So I have ended up with a dress I'm really pleased with, actually. It's sort of off the shoulder. And I want to wear strappy sandals and, sexy shoes. I am going to go for a little bit of comfort. I'm not going to lie, because we all need a bit of comfort. But I'm not going to shrink. I don't want to shrink, and neither should I feel I should shrink. So this conversation is very much around if you're a woman or a man, indeed, of a certain age, you don't have to shrink. You can choose to if you want to, but I don't choose to. I choose to live my life with joy and be the best version of myself. And I really want to empower women to do that. And yes, I look in the mirror and I see wrinkles that weren't there yesterday, and there's that temptation that you get the filler, you get the Botox, do that, and there's no judgment on that, because I've done all of that in the past. But now I think every line I have tells a story. And if you can't love yourself as you are, how can you expect somebody else to love you? And I do a lot of inner child healing courses. And I can only speak from women, but that's only because I've done them with women. I haven't done them with men. And one of the things I ask women is, can you look in the mirror and look deep into your eyes and say, I deeply and truly love you and trust you? And so many of us can't. Indeed, I couldn't for a long time. I had to learn to do that, to truly deeply look into my eyes and say, I truly and deeply love you for all that you are and all that you've been, and all the mistakes that you've made and all the great things that you've done. But I can do it now. And I have another friend who explored Tantra for desire, because she'd lost desire. And I really want to have a conversation with her on here, actually, because I think it would be really eye-opening for people. But to be able to walk naked and embrace being naked with all your wobbly bits and all the different things, and just give yourself pure love, I think is incredibly empowering. Now, I haven't quite got there yet, but I'm getting there. So yeah, this conversation is to ask yourself, how do you truly deeply feel about yourself? And are you your worst critique? And are you your worst person of judgment? And how would it be if you just put that rucksack full of rocks and all those different things that you feel about yourself and put them on the floor? And how much lighter would you be? Because life is a gift, and I choose to be the best version of myself, to follow joy, and that fully includes loving myself. And I don't mean that from an egotistical way at all. I mean that from a deep soul level place. So that's my invitation to you today.